Jimmy, are you ready over there?
Yes.
All right. Okay, welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Library Trustees meeting of April 15th, 2025. The time is 6:02. I'll invite Ginger to call the roll.
Trustee Cortez,
Here.
Trustee Kyle,
Here.
Trustee Lee,
Here.
Trustee Vedot is absent, Chair Ando.
Here. I'll invite now Ginger to explain how the public can participate in this evening's agenda.
Thank you, Chair Ando. This meeting will be held in person and is being recorded and streamed live to Zoom at the link on the agenda. You may participate in person to provide public comment. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. You may also submit your comments by email by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting. We are offering closed captioning for this evening's meeting on Zoom. Select the live transcript button on Zoom to enable this feature.
Thank you, Ginger. The first item on our agenda is the minutes of March 11th, 2025. I'll invite questions and answers from trustees to staff. If there are none, and there is no one, is there anyone from the public here? All right. Then I think we can go directly to a motion and a second for the minutes.
A motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second. I'll now invite Ginger to call the roll.
Trustee Cortez,
Abstain.
Trustee Kyle,
Here.
Yes.
Or approve, I'm sorry. Aye.
Trustee Lee,
Aye.
Trustee Vedot, Chair Ando.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, our next item is open time for public expression. This is where the public is welcome to address the library board on matters not on the agenda that are within the jurisdiction. Comments may be no longer than 2 minutes and should be respectful to the community. Having opened that, I do not see any public presence here. So I will close this item and move on to the next item, special presentations. And for that, we have 2 guests. So Daniel, yes, please proceed.
We have Lee asking us
Hello. Hi.
and Alejandra Barrios. Both will be presenting on their experience at the Creando Enlaces conference, as well as giving a little brief presentation on what they presented to at the conference.
Great.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share a very abbreviated version of our presentation. That up. Oh, do I need a
So go to Zoom first. Go ahead and yeah, go ahead. So are you sharing?
but I'm muted. I didn't. Can I?
So just go to Zoom first so you can share
Okay,
your
I
screen.
am in Zoom and I did do share. Oh, I can. But do I have to? Okay, and then share in there.
And then just
Okay.
Here.
Okay. All right,
Hey, you read about it.
here we are. So, yeah, we will share an abbreviated version of a presentation that we gave last month at the Seguimos Creando Enlaces Bilingual Conference, which was held in San Diego and Tijuana. And in English, Seguimos Creando Enlaces more or less means we keep making connections. And this is a conference that is in its 12th year, and it brings together librarians from throughout the US and Mexico who work with the Latinx community. And the title of our presentation, A Tale of Two Book Clubs, and then the English version, the English of Espejos y Ventanas para Jóvenes y Adultos, is Mirrors and Windows for Youth and Adults. And I will explain that in a few slides. So this is a flyer for the conference. It was held on March 13th and 14th. And it was held in a university library at University of San Diego, the Copley Library, and then at the Universidad Ibero in Tijuana, it was held at the Loyola Library. I spoke about a book club that I have that's called Books Beyond Borders. Oh, and I should say we present it in Spanish, so our slides are in Spanish, but we'll narrate it in English for you. So my book club is called Books Beyond Borders. It's an English language book club for kids in 5th to 8th grade. We are in our 10th year now, and we meet once a month for an hour to talk about books, and each book we read is set in a different country or culture. So the title, Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors, the subtitle of our presentation comes from an article by a professor named Rudine Sims Bishop. Basically, what it says is that as readers, we need 3 things in our books. We need mirrors so we can see ourselves reflected in what we read. We need windows so we can see other people and other worlds. And we need sliding glass doors so we can go back and forth, learning about other worlds, sharing ours, and cultivating empathy for people and places that are different. In these 10 years, we have read books set in more than 40 different countries and cultures, and everywhere from Bangladesh to Botswana, Sudan to Sweden. At the presentation, I shared a list of the resources I used to select these different books, in case other librarians were interested in starting up a similar club. Oh, wow. I also shared a dozen of the books that have been most successful as far as the conversations we've been able to have about them.
Are they English and Spanish or just solely Spanish books?
The books are all in English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But our community is mainly Latino, but we have an Indian, a girl from Southeast Asia. Now we always have someone who is from a country and doesn't speak Spanish, so it's in English. We start the book club with food. We sample foods from the different countries and cultures we read about. So we have had Indian food, we've had Oaxacan food, we've had Iraqi food. Can you go get that? Every book we've read, somehow been able to find something within. I think once I had to get something from Berkeley for these Brazilian breads, but otherwise, yes. And from the food, we move on to talking about the books. We always locate the country that we are reading about on the map. And then we start out discussing the book. Each participant receives a book the month before with an individualized question in it about something about the content of the book. So that's how we start the club. They answer their questions. If they can't answer it, then we all help them out if someone else can answer. We always finish up with some sort of activity related to the books. So for example, a book we read set in India, we did coloring pages with mandalas. Sometimes we will do a writing activity. We did a poetry activity. We will play games from other cultures. For a book on China, we played this puzzle game called Tangrams. And lastly, we always have an author visit every year from one of the books we've read. So we've had Jennifer Torres, who wrote a book called Steph Soto Taco Queen about a Chicana family, a Mexican-American family and their taco truck. We had May Respicio, who's a San Rafael author, Filipino-American, and we read her book, The House That Lou Built. And I am also an author, so I have a book, Leti's Abuelo y el Mensaje en la Botella, which is set in based on true stories set in Marin County and Cuba. So I also shared that with them. It's an author visit. And now I'm going to pass it on to Alejandra.
So, we presented, in the conference both book club, like Lee is a youth book club in English, and I lead the Spanish book club for adults. So the name of the book club is Sabores Literarios. And this is the, like, Lee say that this is a little version of the original presentation. So we explain a little bit why it's important to have a book club in Spanish. And basically, we have, a lot of reasons, love for reading, but basically create community, create a space where people are able to share, to have the space to talk and feel free to express themselves in a free space and safe space. I start the presentation saying about a little bit of the history of the book club. We started in 2011, so it's gonna be 15 years next year. So I think we're gonna do something special to celebrate that. So no many book clubs have that for so long, especially in this in Spanish, because our community moves a lot, so it's hard to keep a group or keep growing the group. But we have some members of the book club that they've been for a while with us, like 10 years, like 12 years, yeah.
So it's not an age thing. Yours isn't age.
We always have a new ones, new members, but mostly our group, we have like a base group, like 4 to 5. I know we always have some that it comes and go, and then sometimes they come back.
But the reading material isn't like, I was just wondering if it's like age appropriate reading material, and do they age out? Like if the books
This
are
is
for
for
like 4th graders and then they
This
10
is
years
for
old.
adults. This is for adult.
Oh, for adults, I'm sorry. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
This picture, we celebrate Christmas in that way inside of the library. So this is a memorabilia that we had it when we started. So the baby that you saw it there is she was the supervisor librarian at that time, and now the baby has 12 years old. So that picture is a long time ago, yeah. I explain a little bit about the structure, of book club, like, the books, the meetings, the format, the staff that we needed, our budget. We try to expand our budget as much as we can. We have 2,000 per year. So it's not much, but, we try to provide a very good, quality program. So maybe that's why most important reason the people keep going, because they feel like their time is worth it. So I explain a little bit our strategies to keep the group together, and all the things that I'm seeing it works for us. Like the way we promote it, we have different ways that we promote the book club. We have our Facebook and Spanish page. We have our staff always invite people, always, we have the e-blast, so monthly, we distribute which books we are reading. But also we have our WhatsApp for the book club, so we always communicate in that way. And also we comment, but, do you like the book, or let's ready for next week. So I try to keep, weekly in communication with them. And the last meeting that we have, we have, in the past, we have different members, but mostly we are moms. So now they wanna go hiking, so probably at the end of this month, we're gonna go do some hike. So always I try to encourage to have different activities during the year. The books, I try to explain it the way I select the books. For me, is the base of the book club, the way that I spend a lot of time selecting the books. What type of books, shorter versus larger books. It would be depend. I try as lead, try to select diverse books, like in the year, I try to select a couple of bios, historical fiction, one translation, one classic, so we can read through the year different genders. But our favorites are historical fiction and bios.
So you make the selection of the books.
Basically, yes, but at the end, I always try to give them participation. So at the meeting, I select like 12 to 10 books, and I give them to vote which one they wanna read. So then we can all decide what we wanna read. So it's both ways. The meetings, we try to create a social meeting with food. I always bring something, but our book club members, we have two people that they are really good at baking. So our meetings always is something really yummy to eat. So we try to put some music at the beginning. So our meetings usually are in Norgate Library, because now we have like parking space. It used to be Pico with, but the parking, yeah, it's hard. And then we had a hidden downtown, and it worked really well as well. But now for the construction. So our best location is Norgate.
Is it okay to ask what date of the time? Oh, that's the time of the day you usually meet?
First.
We meet the first Friday of every month at 5:30.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And sometimes in the meetings, at least once a year, I have a outdoor visit. So one of the meetings is gonna be the outdoor visit, and usually is celebrated on the Hispanic month. between September and October. So we have in the past, Julissa Arce, we have Reina Grande. So at least once a year, we have like Latino author to visit us.
And you give them the books?
Yes. Yeah. And this is the other thing that is very important to share, that we provide the free books, 10 copies. It depends if we have in the collection some titles, but that's motivated to build their own library at home, and also feels like that they have the book, they can do whatever they want. Sometimes, most of the time they keep it, and sometimes they give me back, so I can use it for outreach purpose. So I can have this giveaway.
I noticed on this one that there are the same book in both languages. Do your participants get to choose which language book they want to read? That must be
Yes.
interesting to have that discussion, because there can be differences, no, about.
Yeah, usually, we try to select, a book that is in both language, and then you can have the opportunity to come over. So, with, especially, well, with Julissa and Reina Grande, like Reina Grande, she writes in English, so the translation is in Spanish. So for this year, we have already the author, and they have, the book is, original written in the Spanish, but we have a translation, so we wanna do both copies in English. And the programs is usually bilingual to have a bigger audience. We have, I don't know, you know Javier Zamora, but he's very popular author of the book Solito. So he was raised in San Rafael. He graduated from here. The book is really, really touchy, and so at that time we have the meeting. The lady that is next to me in the photo is the mother of Javier Zamora.
Oh,
Yeah,
Is it a good book?
it is.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
I have it if you want. I've got
She on
copies.
the pink.
Yes, yeah.
So,
So, yeah. One of the members of the book club, is very close friend with Isabel Allende. So they met to have a dinner, so she invited her to our book club. So that's why we have connection. Yeah, and also I have to mention that, Isabel is very good supporter of our book club, so she always give us free copies, signed copies, so, yeah.
I had the opportunity to have him speak just before this talk. And this past, I mean, just his whole history of coming here was just amazing. And then reading the book, yeah.
Yeah. In that photo, Lee organized that visit with him, so we had a couple of presentations, and all the San Rafael High School were invited. So one presentation was in English and the other one was in Spanish.
Was it at the high school?
San Rafael High
Oh,
School.
wonderful.
Leah, the author, so she has a secret.
Yeah,
sword pattern.
yeah.
Yeah, all the credits to
Other
him, because
house,
it was really
different
fun to
language.
have and organize with the high school is a lot of work. But yeah, and then he had another presentation of Dominican, so we got some tickets, and so the book clubbers were able to go to the presentation, yeah. This photo, it was in the COVID, in the pandemic, so we met by Zoom. And this is one of the last meetings that we have. That was in January. So we always try to share something and celebrate our special days.
Nice.
It's fun for you too, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I will say like, I met my best friends in the book club.
Oh.
And we become very good friends, and that is my adopted family here, because I don't have family here. So they know my kids, my mom, we celebrate birthdays together. So that's what my main point to say is that our book club is to create a community. And give that space to, because for some of us, most of us, we don't have extended family here, or it's hard because some of us like don't have the opportunity to share with our co-workers in our way that we can speak our language or talk about our authors or different topics. So most of the book club we create very good friendship. Yeah,
Nice.
that's my presentation. And so.
And then, yeah, I was just gonna share a few of the highlights of the conference, and I think we both attended this presentation. It was a presentation about teaching kids Spanish using graphic novels, which was really interesting. It was kind of like a book club. But they would read a portion of the graphic novel in the meeting, and they do an activity around it. These were kids who were not native speakers, who were studying Spanish in school. And then they each got a copy of the book afterwards and went home and finished it up. And it was just interesting. I hadn't thought that about something like that. It's a fun way to get kids to keep doing it, not just see it as something they do at school. A presentation I really liked was about the San Diego County Library Service Learning Program, where they bring in teens and they're almost like interns. And many of them stay for the entire 4 years of high school, and they have them help out in all different ways, from these simple ways, organizing things in the library, cutting out crafts materials, but then they had one teen who was really into art. And so they had her help out whenever they had art programs. And then at the end of her time, they had her lead an art workshop. And they have the kids fill out an application to participate in this program to kind of teach them about applying for jobs, and they get interviewed, and I think they may have even written a cover letter. So it's a real skills training program. And for me, the closest thing was, this was a panel presentation. One of the presenters, who is the librarian at San Diego County Library, started out in this program as a teen. And so that was really great to see and just inspiring. Because we also have two people who work at our library as substitute library assistants that began with us as teens participating in our programs. So, yeah.
And also something that I would like to add is like the kids or the daughters of the book club, the adult book club, participate in lead
Because
they go seeing us. So like around 6 kids.
Over the course of
Over
it.
the,
And right now, I think the only one is Alejandra's daughter, who's in our book club. Yeah,
It's
her
so
first
cute,
year.
though, but it's setting an example. The mother is reading and the kids want to read, and then
Exactly.
everybody's reading at home.
For them, we're very natural to be part of our book club.
Yeah.
And then it was, for me, really meaningful to get to meet librarians from so many different places. From all over California. I met a Cuban librarian from Georgia who lives in Georgia now. Some librarians from Colorado. We had breakfast one day with these librarians from a university in Mexico City, and just to get to share stories about their jobs and the differences in the programs they do was just really fulfilling.
Yeah, the whole experience was nice to see and get some new ideas to in the future how can we implement here, and the way they do is just very refreshing and inspiring.
Then you're doing a lot. You must have gotten some positive feedback too about what you guys are doing.
We did, we had
Right?
people who said like, oh, I wanna
Yeah.
I wanna find out about your book club, and I've already had, Sylvia from Novato is a librarian that was at this, contacted me and said, can I know the list of books you use and how do you do the program? So,
Yeah. I never thought before to present this. So Daniel asked me, oh, would you be able, or would you like to present it? And it came to my mind that in this time, like I've been receiving like maybe 4 to 5 calls. People ask me, oh, I saw that you have a book club, how you do it? What are your titles? So I was thinking, yeah, it's something that I can share and maybe it will be valuable information for others.
Were you two attending this conference every year, last few years, or?
This is the first
First
time.
time.
This is the first
Yeah.
time, but this is the first time that they do it after COVID, so the last 5 years.
I think it's been online for a few years,
Uh,
and this is the first year that they go back to going to both Mexico
In
and
person,
Colombia.
You have to get a passport to go.
You do.
Like, even
But
though,
it's they coordinate all of it, so you,
Yeah.
they set up the bus, you get on the bus,
Mm,
you go, and you come back.
yeah,
So it's-
how far away from each other, this event?
Do you wanna?
You wanna-
Oh, I think it took probably 40 minutes.
Yeah.
The most.
Yeah.
The longest was waiting in line
Oh,
to
I
cross.
get-
Yeah, like, get
Coming
off
back?
the bus and
Coming back coming back
we have
to
to get
US?
off the bus and cross
the
through.
Oh,
cross
okay.
down.
They check your documents and they.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
both ways or on one direction?
Both
or-
ways,
both ways.
but there was a delay on the bus getting back there. It was very rainy and stormy. An electrical pole fell right outside the university library and they were smart and bought a taxi, an Uber and explored Tijuana, but I stayed on the bus and was stuck in the bus for 2.5 hours while the electricity was dealt with, because you couldn't drive with this pole across the street.
Yeah. An experience to remember.
Yeah,
That's
who,
great. I'm so glad you could go.
yeah, what kids are there, like what schools are they that they're
Oh,
coming
yeah,
from?
that is really interesting because I think for the past few years, we rarely have more than 2 kids from one school. So we have all different schools. Right now, we have Venetia Valley. We have a girl from Mill Valley, Edna McGuire, I think. Alejandra's daughter who goes to San Domenico, and a friend of hers is in the club now too. We have someone from St. Rayfield right here. We have someone from Davidson middle school. Oh, and one of the Miller Creek schools.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, we used to have mainly Bahia Vista kids. That was before the pandemic. I don't know, it shifted, but we have like maybe 5 different schools from our like
Didn't
8
know that.
participants. Yeah,
That's-
and I think the mother was in the library and saw the group meeting and wrote and asked if her daughter could be in it. I think they may live in San Rafael, but her daughter goes to school in Mill Valley.
Where are the meetings? Are they?
They're
Like-
they're at the Pickleweed
Pickleweed?
Library, yeah.
Most of parents has to drop the kids to,
Mhm.
how long usually have the book? club?
The book club is an hour,
Mm,
yeah.
Are you seeing, results from kids or parents who have gone through the program that, give you, inspiration to kind of continue this, or is it hard, I mean, it's just maybe hard to follow them after they've gone through the.
Well, with the kids, we have one girl, she's in one of these previous. Well, okay. Oh, it's very slow. Anyway, she's in one of the photos and I saw her recently. She was in 5th grade and now she's a junior at Marin Academy. And I showed her the photo. I said, "Oh, I'm doing this presentation and this is a photo of you when you were in 5th grade." And she said, "This is Leslie."
Oh, yeah.
And she said, "Oh, that is where my love of reading really started."
Oh, that's great.
That's so sweet.
But with Leslie, the mom take her to story times since she was very little.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I
she's
can
very
see
involved.
that, yeah, they always been very consistent with the library and programming. And they attend all of the program when she was little.
Yeah.
And then she.
And if we find people who are interested, how do they get a hold of you or you? Or if they're a parent or if they're a student, how do they just contact the library here?
Yeah, and they could just say they're interested in
Okay.
Spanish adult or the kids.
They usually prefers if it's a youth, they refer to Lee and Lee contact them, or if adult, they contact me. Or is and also is our email in the e-blast or flyers that they can communicate and ask for information.
Congratulations, that's great.
Thank you. I stopped sharing.
Other questions trustees to staff on this? If not, we normally would open this to public comment, but since there are no attendees here, we will move on. Unless there's anything else from staff on this item, we will move to other agenda items.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes. So under this item number 3, update on library programming. Daniel, I assume that's me.
Finally heard it.
Thank you.
Bye.
So I'm actually gonna talk a little bit about Lee's other book club, a little bit later. So just kind of wanted to provide an update on, just leading off on their presentation. And just to add a little bit, I think aside from really fostering a space, where they can talk about literature, I think one of the things that the book clubs, both Alejandra's and Lee create, is really just kind of ambassadors for library service, where they can really like understand what library service means outside of library walls, and then they carry kind of that message to their families, and really encourage them. And ultimately our programs are kind of gateways to our whole profile of services and resources. So that's pretty great. So just a little bit in terms of the report on the background is, for the past year or so, our programs and the scope of our programs has really been dictated by our staffing capacity and where we are with that. But even aside from that, despite all the challenges, in addition to delivering a lot of our core services and the renovation and moving to a temp space, during the last fiscal year, and I went through fiscal year numbers because that's kind of how we report to the state. So like our data sets are pretty much built in that way.
June to June.
Yeah,
Or
so in July to June. So in fiscal year 23-24, we successfully offered 361 programs, serving 11,138 participants. And it's a variety of programs. I'm very proud to say that as of end of March this year, we still have spring and leading into summer programs. We've launched 331 programs and events, 30 less than where we ended up last year, but we've served 11,800 participants. And that's pretty much, that's amazing. And it's due to a lot of really creative thinking on how we can develop new programs, use existing programs, expanding them, mix in some passive programming, engagement with community partners, and really kind of putting in that effort into being in a new space downtown, kind of seeing what works in a new kind of environment, seeing a new demographic. And the staff really uniting and putting in intentionality and effort into trying new things and launching programs. We launched Read to a Dog again, which we stopped doing. And I think they had maybe Saturday was the first day of us bringing that back. And I think they had like 6 or 8 kids waiting to read to a very adorable dog.
I mean, do the kids bring their dog?
No, it's an agency. It's put through a society, I believe, where they bring in a pet.
Yeah.
And that's at Northgate, was?
No, we had this at downtown.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
The pop-up.
They used to have it here when my daughter was little. She was.
Yeah,
I have photos of my son.
doing that, yeah,
Yeah, that's very
that's
good.
awesome.
Older retrievers falling asleep.
Yeah. So we're launching things like that where before it may not have worked, but we've got renewed energy and new space, and we're the willingness to try things again. Some of our ongoing programs that I just kind of want to highlight, it's the Write Your Legacy program. We have a group of people who are guided by someone who's experienced in the field to help people write their legacy and document a lot of their history. And they do, I believe they do exercises that helps kind of bring back some kind of memories and
There's a big
Collect
business
them.
out there actually
Yeah.
for the seniors, the other children buys the.
That's
whatever-
great.
Oh, yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
colors, and then
Yeah.
you just answer the questions. Then they actually put together a memoir, like a
Mhm.
biography.
Yeah. And I think that that's really good.
Mm.
Art talks,
Mhm.
Marin Master Gardener sessions. And things like story times, which we continue to do, and those are kind of like those, like Alejandra and Lee mentioned. It's those programs that we're continuing to support, look at different ways to expand them. We do Northgate, for example, like the story times, we do stay and play after, where it's not just a story time, but there's an opportunity to stay and play and again, build community, but also those memories where they're gonna keep helping you come back for other things. And we're doing things like reading buddies and math club, which are filling kind of that void after school, like making sure that that students are up to 3rd grade reading level, which is critical. Math club, which I think, as far as I heard, there's wait list for both of those programs. So it's something that's popular, and the library is really contributing to making sure that we're addressing that gap.
Is that it with a tutor, the math club?
The reading buddies is with a volunteer, so we have volunteers that do it, and it's both at Pickleweed and downtown. Math club is as in Pickleweed, and that's a tutor that handles different sessions.
Great.
Something that's also contributed to our numbers this year is the student My Card library card program, with very intentional collaborations and very strategic engagement with students, and the timing of when we roll out and how we communicate. This collaboration was primarily with San Rafael City Schools, but I'm in conversations with Miller Creek as well, and we're gonna find a way to roll something out in the fall for their students as well. And aside from that, we have the after-school reading and homework help, which is taking place at the downtown library. That's also with some Dominican volunteers who are also helping with reading and drop-in tutoring after school at the downtown library. Lee has also launched another book club, and it's the Quarterly Classics book club for adults. So they select classics, they get a copy of the book, and it's for adults. But I think, and as those kind of groups start to form, those members really start to help us spread the word about what libraries are. It helps them build their libraries. It gives them a little piece of the library to bring home, and I think that's great. We've started to do some, we continue to do some passive programs like the Valentine's Day card making craft bags where kids can take it home and create their own kind of crafts, STEM kits. So I think gave out, oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the number now. I think it's like 680 kits. Where kids can take them home and do some science activities at home. And kind of alongside of that, we had the Stargazers program where kids can look at the moon. I think it's just Jupiter.
So we come at nighttime?
So we held it out by Pickleweed, and there's a park right kind of past the childcare center.
Mhm.
And it was at night, and they had about 70 people show up.
Wow.
And yeah, so it's stuff like that where we're doing some passive programs, but combining it with an actual kind of events. One of the things we're working with, and the city's kind of working with us on this in collaboration with the county. It's highlighting services for or support services for newcomers, multilingual families and immigrant communities. And a couple of the things that we're doing to really support those efforts, it's the ESL Conversation Club. We have one online and in person. We have of course, the bilingual story times, the preschool library visits, reading buddies, the community clinic book club project where we give books to kids who are visiting the pediatrician. So they come, they get a book when they leave. The adult Spanish book club we just heard about. We also have the Vietnamese and Spanish senior club that's held at Alboro in collaboration with the rec team. And those, I've seen videos of those, seem really, really fun. And of course, we have the drop-in tech help in Spanish. And as I mentioned before, the math club and homework help that are kind of, we're highlighting as services to these communities. Right. And funding for this, I just want to make sure to highlight is a lot of this funding comes from our friends group. So they help us put on a lot of these programs.
Thank you, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good.
Questions or from trustees?
Drop-in tech help in Spanish, who's helping that?
Staff.
Yeah, staff.
Staff
Yeah.
time, yeah, they drop in during certain times of the day and they're helped.
I know William does in the downtown.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm
Well,
guessing.
yeah,
And then someone who was Spanish speaking staff will have
the Spanish speaking drop-in is
Yeah.
at Pickleweed.
Pickering.
Mhm.
Okay. So one of staff there. was
Right.
Yeah, I've been sending a lot of seniors
Yeah,
having
yeah.
tech problems, their, passwords hacked.
Yeah, we
Go to downtown and talk to
I
them.
have the appointment one too.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, how is that space? How is it different? You said that you have kind of different clientele. Are you keeping busy? Is it like?
It's busy.
able to-
It's busy, but I think when I said, what I mean with that is that because the space is limited,
Mhm.
it's a lot of, it's a lot of coming in, picking up a book, checking out, leaving. So like, that's why a lot of the passive programs work.
Mhm.
It's like programming to go.
Mhm.
But we're getting, people who want just that kind of quick service because they're either walking to work, from work. And it's accessible right off
Yeah,
the street.
it's easy.
It's easy. Parking is a little bit of a challenge, but I think it's being right at downtown and amidst all the businesses, it kind of brings in people that may not have the time to come visit the library all the time or come up here. So
I've been impressed that every book I've asked for, you guys have had. It's like, this is amazing for just a small little
yeah,
center.
and if we don't have it, we definitely get it. So
Yeah.
from some other
keeping-
lenders, yep.
Impressive.
Um,
Yeah,
The
I love everything you've done.
couple of friends I have in even San Anselmo and Fairfax. Because they're commuting sometimes, audiobooks, and they said they actually pick up books or pick up as an upper downtown
Yeah.
because it's a much more detour for them to go San Anselmo Library,
yes,
and they don't
downtown.
open late to
Yeah.
certain days and some
That's
for
good to know.
downtown. So even though they are not our library
Right.
patrons or library card holder, but they were often just selecting.
Yeah.
Because they could pick it up
That's
on the
great.
way home.
Daniel, the programs you've talked about are quite impressive. The number of participants is super. In terms of what you'd like to do going forward, is there anything else that you'd like to add
So
over
we're
the next
doing,
year?
so we're doing, I think, the goal is to really look at I think we're due for like an evaluation of what our programming structure looks like. And how we put our resources in to evaluate what programs our community needs. And I think one of the things that this lends itself to is that if we're trying a bunch of things, we're gathering data from that. What's working, where to put our resources in. But we're doing different things. So for example, in May, we collaborated with Reuse Alliance and Zero Waste Marin. And we're gonna be hosting a repair fair
Oh, yes, I saw that. I think that's
at the
wonderful.
Pickleweed Library.
Yes, that's right.
And right now it's small in scope because it's repairing small appliances. Their motto is if you can carry it in, we can fix it. But the goal is to throw a bigger event where there's clothes swaps and we've got community agencies coming in. And it's really, the goal is really to expand that. So I think programs like that where they're consistent for one, and they involve a lot of other agencies, and we can kind of collaborate on what we're doing and how our services align. I think it's critical. It's gonna be critical to share resources with other communities. But we're doing community fairs, and we've got the Heads Up Carnival at Summerfeld School coming. The Canal Alliance is having their community fair on May 3rd. So being a presence in those spaces as well, and making sure that we advertise our programs in the right way. So that people who aren't aware of our services become familiar. And then the programs that we're out promoting kind of highlight the services that they can access when they're in our buildings.
You guys talked about tool swapping too, or having,
Like tooling.
I thought you guys mentioned like, so you could rent a tool, you could rent a.
Yeah, there's libraries some libraries have tool lending libraries.
Yeah.
It may have been part of a conversation or planning early on. That as we're looking for the new library, who knows, that might be something that the community, that comes out of community engagement work.
And if it's this, then let us know next time, but no, I'm pretty sure it's not.
How long? Yeah, I just noticed the screen that the big bottom screen is what we are seeing, is what is being recorded.
The whole thing should be recorded.
I think gender confusion.
Yeah, the whole, no matter if it's on Zoom, the whole thing's recorded,
Oh, okay.
no matter what screen is on.
Because I think when I watched the recording, another meeting or something, and it was just something else was on the screen, and that was the whole recording, so I couldn't see the.
Was it the library?
Don't think it was a library.
Why don't you take a look at it?
Yeah, just let us know which one it is.
Yeah, because it was just, you could ask the gender right now if it's what is being recorded.
Well, that screen we're seeing, the whole screen
screen.
is re-recorded.
Yeah, so I think in some sense, it's better to view the small one to be presented in the bottom. That's what I was told. I don't know if Jinder could hear.
Jinder, are you available?
Yes,
There's a question here from one of the trustees about what is being recorded and what will be available. Right now, we're seeing your name on a black background with us at the top on a very small screen. And
Oh, okay. Yeah, the recording is set to speaker view. So wherever the sound is coming from, that's the screen that's being recorded.
No, but the image I'm talking about, not the sound. So if we play this after the meeting is done,
Yeah,
you-
so right now, because there's no screen being shared, what's being recorded is what the camera is seeing in the meeting room.
oh, the camera is seeing the meeting room. Okay, so
Yes.
that's the top part. Top part
Yes.
of the room, yeah, okay.
Oh, yes, where you're located, yes, it would be the top part, yes.
Okay, so what we are seeing on the big, your name on the black background is not the one we will see.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's not what should be being recorded, yes.
Got it. Thank you so much for clarification.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Daniel, if it's okay, I have one other
Sure.
question. When you and the team attended the conference
Mhm.
in San Diego and Tijuana, did you find something there that you might want to bring here in terms of programs or ideas that?
Sure, yeah, so I always find high value in not just the sessions at the conference,
Right.
but in really the networking and the
Mhm.
engagement with people outside. And I think for me, it put a lot of things into perspective because in talking with a lot of the library staff from libraries in Mexico, they're working pretty hard to make their libraries truly public. And really gain a lot of those initial steps of making their resources available and getting people to come into their libraries who may otherwise feel like that space isn't for them. So they're in those spaces right now and creating that, making that space available. But I feel like in those conversations, there's things that we probably overlook as well, because we're a little further ahead of that. That's good for us to remember. And it's down to just like small things of how you set your furniture up, or where your lounge spaces are, or what you promote in certain spaces, and what do you publicize in team spaces. And it's kind of those things that we've been doing this for a while that it just kind of sits in the back of our mind. And it's not until people are like doing it again that it just brings it to the forefront. But there's one program that I found valuable, and there's out of Carpinteria in Southern California. They do so this and it's kind of a community, like kind of like a community library specialist, because it's a community library. This person visited absolutely every key hub within their community to be that ambassador for their community. He did laundry in the laundromats, and he talked up the library, went to churches, talked up the library, went to work sites, talked up the library. And then from there, he generated this group of first generation and immigrant community members. And one of the cool things that he started is he called it Lluvia de Ideas, which is like rain of ideas. And he had them kind of for the newcomer group identify 5 things that they would tell themselves before they got here. And he used all that data to share it to other people who are new and
Have the same
experiences, but it's like helping you when you like taking those first steps. So that's a great idea, and I feel like it's great in that kind of concept and that kind of space, but we could use that for a bunch of other things. People who've experienced certain things and want to kind of help other people who are maybe suffering the same things or experiencing new things, kind of that same approach. So I think about that a lot.
Let me take it a step further, and maybe this is outside of this report, but to that, are you finding that you need to encourage people to feel comfortable that particularly if they're undocumented, that they can come into a space like the library and not feel like they're threatened, I guess, by what's going on now?
I think we have to have a really deep awareness. There's got to be some cultural awareness too, as to how you approach certain situations and how you just like build that space for that. Because one of the risky things is, and it's part of the awareness is really understanding what our tools are and what we have that we can really provide in situations that become pretty critical. Because I find that there's risk in saying that a space is a safe space and you're protecting it. But then if we lack understanding of what our tools really are, then we're creating the opposite of that space. So I think it's being very intentional in how we approach programming, advertisement, where we hold certain programs and how we hold them. I think that's kind of how we're creating those safe spaces. It's realizing how we promote those things, who we are inviting to these spaces in terms of agencies. One example is our Day of the Kid event, Dia de Niños event. We were pretty worried about holding an event that's clearly specific to this population and what agencies are invited, how we're inviting them, and where we're holding it. And I think that's kind of how we create those spaces where it's definitely more of the action part of it than the advertising of it.
I mean, it's hard to call any place a safe place. If it's
Right.
not schools or your own.
And I don't know that schools really
Schools
are
are
anymore. Schools or places of worship are no longer considered safe spaces.
So, I mean, libraries aren't protected.
So it's hard, so that's kind of why I'm saying it's hard without, like, it takes our part to know the tools we have at our disposal and what our spaces really are.
Thank you.
I just had one question about funding. Is there threats as far as losing federal funding?
Well, right now it's,
Because I'm just hearing.
right, and there's certain things that are, like, I think right now everyone's kind of evaluating, because a lot of things go into effect next fiscal year. I think for us, most of it, I think for us, we're fine in terms of where we're getting our funding. But there are small rural libraries where a lot of their funding comes from a lot of the grants that will be not administered through IMLS. But I think it's still kind of like an evaluation period of what is impacted and what will be cut. I think last I heard, I think there's still this fiscal year, 20% of grants that were awarded haven't been paid for this fiscal year, and they probably won't do it. So
No, I was just wondering if we could move on.
So, time-wise, just reading some statistics about I mean, there's Jonathan Haidt's The Anxious Generation book is everywhere, and then that also with some other books they kind of came out. Now there's like a numbers data that showing several like articles in New York Times or things like that talking about the schools and colleges noticing the students not able to read a book basically, and not even able to write. AI is there, ChatGPT is there, but they also suspect a lot of kids in young age, mothers, fathers busy, left with iPad, just sliding. So also they see the different educational community, because it's a so much more deeper level of social economically challenged community might not have that understanding of what the neurons develop in the young age, what the reading and comprehension happens. And now all these elementary schools reporting the kindergarten, 30-40% of kids not ready at all, unable to keep up with the curriculum.
I think libraries have picked up on that trend, and I think that's why a lot of the intent with programming focuses on the third grade slide,
Yes.
Which is critical.
Yes.
But things like reading buddies
Yes.
and the libraries kind of do, and math club is
Yes.
like that. It's not in a huge scope, but it's pretty targeted and it's intentional.
Yes.
And I think it's like a little bit of helping to combat that.
Yes.
And to Jamie's point, are there any other questions from trustees? Yes, issue update on library programming. If not,
Great.
there is, as we said before, no one from the public in attendance here, so I think we can move on to the next item, number 4, staff liaison report. And I think you're up again, Danny.
Yep, okay, just some updates. For downtown, construction's going or the renovation's going as planned. We anticipate them being finished or starting the punch list somewhere around June, May, mid-May, and turning over the building to us end of May, early June. We won't open till mid-July because of the long lead times on some of the furniture. The shelving particularly has to be installed and that won't be delivered till late June.
Okay.
We plan our reopening celebration for August 2nd. And there are more details to come about that. For the Pickleweed Library, permits were secured and we're in the bidding process, which we anticipate starting mid-May going through June. And City Council awarding or approving the contract sometime in July. For service at Pickleweed, one of the things that I'm working on right now is finding space within like community organizations to host some more critical programs like Reading Buddies, Math Club. But we're acquiring holds lockers where people can pick up their holds from a locker and it'll be housed at Alboro. So while they're closed, there'll still be a place for people to pick up their holds. Measure P, so we're in the very, very early stages, of course. We are in the process of drafting and an implementation plan of what the project will look like. And part of that plan is going out, submitting on a request for proposals for a project manager that's really going to guide us through those initial steps. Looking at the design, community engagement, all of those, helping us guide us through all of those phases. We're planning on a robust community engagement phase, and it's going to be critical for the project manager to help us design or find someone that's going to help us with that process. The city's council subcommittee for Measure P is meeting in May, and a lot of that, like, they'll review the implementation plan and start working on it. Measure D is up for renewal in 2026. The City Council Finance Subcommittee is meeting tomorrow. And the Measure D renewal is on their agenda to be discussed. One of the options is renewal in August through a special election, which is kind of thinking strategically about so many other measures also going up for renewal and the timing of that. There is a cost associated with holding a special election, and that's something that's going to be evaluated through the subcommittee. We'll have the city manager's office will have a report about that, hopefully by the end of the week or early next week, that we'll share with the board.
Sorry, tell me, Measure D is which one?
Measure D,
P is for the new library.
right? Measure D is for like services.
Services. And
And it's an existing.
It's an existing, so it's a renewal.
Renewal,
right.
extend.
Yeah, so
Questions from the commissioners? I do have one, Daniel. So my neighbor, who is very active in the city, is on the police advisory board. Anyway, he's very interested in the library and wanted to know how he can participate in the new library, the Measure P rollout. And I said I would ask tonight.
in what capacity?
He's just interested in how this is all gonna roll out and what the process is, and he wants to be involved if he can.
Okay, so we're in the very early planning stages of this. So what the community engagement, and that's what the project manager is going to really help us look at,
Got it.
is what that community engagement really looks like,
Right.
and how we reach out to different stakeholders and different members of the community to really help us with the programming of the space.
And when do you expect the project manager to be on board? Obviously, you're just now
So
getting
we're,
the RFP out.
right, the RFP should go out in a couple weeks and it's probably open for a month.
So we're talking sometime in the summer.
Mhm. Right.
Good enough, I can get back
Right.
to him. Thanks.
And there's gonna be, we're gonna be intentional about communicating phases and where we're at and when there's time to share input. So,
I apologize, I think you mentioned that, you will, downtown will move to, pop-up will move back to the downtown library around
mid-July,
Mid-July,
we're hoping
okay.
mid-July, yeah.
mid-July.
Gender, can you make note? Trustee Cortez has to leave early.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you. If there are no other questions on staff liaison report, we'll move to item number 5, commissioner reports. Are there any of us who want to talk about meetings, conferences, seminars that we have attended?
Oh, just wrote a letter to the IJ and got it printed.
Yes.
About the library, so that was my 2 bits.
So if you haven't seen it, please check it out. It's a great, I can say it's a great letter.
Did you tell me when that one came out? Is it this week?
Like a friend texted me and it was over the weekend. She
Oh,
got
okay.
your letters, like, what?
Take a look.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't it like on?
Yeah, it's been in the last week.
Okay.
If you go
Yeah.
to the IJ website, I think you can do a search
Yeah.
even,
Editorial, yeah.
on letters to the editor and you'll see.
Okay, great.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, we will move on from item number 5. And that is the last item for this evening. With that, I will adjourn the meeting at 7:15. Thank you all.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.